All right. So here's the drill sheet for chapter 30, and we're going to parse these and translate them together. Let's start with number 1. We have akriv. Akriv. Say that with me. Akriv. What are my 3 glorious verb root letters? Kof, resh, beit. Good. And I have an aleph prefix. So start wherever you want. The Keurig yod should ring some bells about the stem. The aleph should ring some bells about the conjugation pattern. What's the prefix aleph obviously doing? That's imperfect, 1CS. So whatever this means, it means I, right? And perhaps I will. Keurig yod in the middle, what does that tell you for the stem? That's looking hifilish, isn't it? Does the hifil also have an A-class vowel under the nutty prefix? It does. It does. So together, that tells me hifil. So I have karav in the hifil, imperfect 1CS. So I will hifil karav. Now, what are some possible meanings for this? I will draw near. I will present. I will bring someone near, right? So those are all possibilities. All right. Now, number 2 has almost the exact same forms, karav, same prefix aleph, but I have a kametz hey on the back side. So what's the one thing that's different for my parsing? Yeah, instead of hifil, it's cohortative. Is it still 1CS? It is. So I'm going to have all the same meanings here, but instead of I will, it's let me or may I, ditto, 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 right? May I draw near, may I present the Queen of England. Okay. Number 3, hik, rav, tem. 3 root letters are karav. Good. Don't you love it when I give you the same root letter all the time? All right, makes it a little easier, doesn't it? My point is to not just get you to learn the meaning of that verb, although that's one of the reasons I do this. But once you've got the verbal root, then it's easier to identify the things around it, right? So this has a hey prefix. So now, what are my possibilities if I have a hey before root 1? Hifil, hofal, hithpael, right? All 3 of those have a prefix hey. Now, if it's a hithpael, what do I need with my hey? I need the tav, right? I got to have the hith. I don't got no hith. I just have a hit. All right, so it's not hithpael. So this vowel, though, will help me know whether it's hifil or hofal, right? Which one is it? Clearly hifil. Good. Now, in the hifil, I have 4 places where the hey prefix shows up. Perfect, imperative, infinitive construct, infinitive absolute. How do I know that? Look at your principal parts, and that's what you see, right? Look at the back side, and I have the ending tem. Which one of these 4 can take that kind of an inflectional suffix? Only the perfect. So we can scratch those 3 out. This is a hifil perfect. Tem is 2MP. So this means y'all, what? Yeah, presented, drew near, so forth, so on, okay? So all the same meanings. Look at number 4. I have yazkir. Say that with me, yazkir. Yazkir has what 3 root letters? Zayin, kaf, resh. Good. What is in front of root 1? This is a yod. That's going to tell me imperfect, what? 3ms. Or possibly just of 3ms, right? Those have prefix yods. Okay. What stem am I committed to with an A-class vowel under the yod? Hifil. Let me ask you, how many stems have an A-class vowel under the imperfect prefix? What's that? Just the hifil. Don't believe me? I see the looks of incredulity on you. Let's just review all the principal parts real quickly. Here's what I want you to do. look at the imperfect line, and let's just look at all the stems. And what we're looking for is which vowel goes under the nutty prefix. Here it's always yod because we're always using the 3ms. But remember, we have 4 nutty prefixes, right? Yod, nun, tav, aleph. All of those are possible. So in the cow, what vowel do I have under my prefix? I've got a kirik, right? That's an I-class vowel. In the nifal, what's my prefix vowel point? It's also an I-class kirik. PL, what kind of shava is that? Vocal. Pual, it's a vocal shava as well. Hithpael, nutty prefix gets a kirik. Interesting. I haven't seen any A-class vowels here, have I? Look at the hofal. What vowel is under the yod in the imperfect? That's a kametz katuf. That's a U-class vowel, isn't it? And in my hifil, I have an A-class vowel. That is truly the only place I have an A-class vowel under my imperfect prefix. Okay? So when you see this yod with the pathak under it, take it to the bank. That is a hifil, imperfect or jussive. Now, in the hifil stem, do the imperfect and jussive have the potential of looking different? Yes. If there's no inflectional ending, then there is a difference. Which one of these has the kirik yod? The imperfect. Which one has the sere? The jussive. So even though the yod prefix tells me it could be imperfect or jussive, the theme vowel commits me to the imperfect. Okay? So now what does zakar mean in the cow? Yeah, to remember. To remember. So the hifil is going to introduce a causative notion to this. To cause to remember. So how might I translate this? First of all, it's imperfect. So 3ms, he, and usually what tense is that? Imperfect is usually future, right? He will cause to remember. Now, if he's causing someone else to remember, what would be another way to translate that? Yes, he will remind someone. Okay? If he's causing himself to remember, this could be an inner causative idea, then he will commemorate, right? He'll bring himself to remember something. All right? So those are some possible nuances of the hifil of zachar. All right. Look at number 5. I have hazkir. Hazkir. So you see my 3 root letters again? So there's zakar. Now I've got a hey prefix. So, this is chapter 30. So let's just skip the hofal niceties. There's no tav. It's not a hithpael. This has got to be a hifil, right? Now, when I have the hey prefix, what are the 4 possible places where the hifil has its hey? Perfect, imperative, infinitive, construct, and absolute. Now, look at that vowel under the hey. Which one can I eliminate based on the a? The perfect. The perfect always has what vowel class in the under the hey? Has an I class. So that leaves me the imperative, infinitive, construct, infinitive, absolute. Now I have to go to the kirik yod and look at your principal parts. Those remaining 3, which one of those can take a kirik yod in the middle? The infinitive construct. The imperative, when there's no ending, has what vowel? Under root 2. The hifil imperative. Sere. Sere. Infinitive absolute has what vowel? Sere. So both of those are disqualified on the grounds of the theme vowel. The perfect is disqualified on the grounds of the hay's vowel. Okay? So the only thing this is the hifil infinitive construct. How will I translate that? I don't have to add anything else to my parsing because the infinitive construct doesn't have anything attached to it. All right? So this is the act of, or to what? Yeah, the act of reminding or to remind. We'll just keep it simple, okay? Now, real quickly, we'll do 6. I have his kier, same 3 root letters, same hey prefix, but an I-class vowel instead of an A-class. So that's easy, right? That's got to be HIFIL what? Perfect. With no ending, the perfect is 3MS, and this is he reminded. Okay? And then HASCARE has the same 3 root letters and the prefix hey, but an A-class vowel, so it's HIFIL what 3 possibilities? Not perfect, but imperative, infinitive construct, infinitive absolute. Now I look at the theme vowel. Which one of these can that be? Imperative or absolute. It cannot be the infinitive construct because that has a Keurig yod in the middle, right? So if it's imperative, what does the 0 ending mean? Second, masculine, singular. And I would translate this as remind, okay, as a command. If it's the infinitive absolute, I'll just translate it like an infinitive. But remember, we have to look at the context to know. Is it an emphasis use? He really reminded? Is it a complementary use? Or what? All right, let's go ahead and look at this this number 8 one. We have HASCARE. We want to contrast this with what we see here. HISCARE, HASCARE, and so forth. We have HASCARE. What are the 3 root letters of this verb? Zachar. So that's Zion, Kaf, Resh, right? And the yod prefix has what vowel class under it? That's A class. So what does that tell me about the parsing? It's not a perfect. It's an imperfect, possibly. If it's not an imperfect, it's a jussive. So I know those are my 2 possibilities here. The yod prefix has on the other side nothing, so that is what person, gender, number? 3MS. And then again, that A-class vowel under the prefix. Which stem is that? That's got to be HIFIL, right? That's characteristic of the HIFIL stem. Now, what I have to do is look at the theme vowel now. I just covered up one of the important parts of that. I got to look at the theme vowel and ask myself, is this characteristic of the HIFIL imperfect or the HIFIL jussive? So I've got sere with no inflectional ending. What is that? That's the jussive. The imperfect would have what here under the kaf? A Keurig yod. That's right. So this is a HIFIL jussive 3MS. So Zachar in the HIFIL means to remind, right? So how would I translate this as a jussive form? Let him remind. Or if I use the may translation, may he remind someone of something. Okay? All right. Let's look at 9 real quickly. Everybody have halbishu. Say that with me. Halbishu. So this is that verb root that we saw the other day by accident. Lavash. What does lavash mean? That's right. In the cow, lavash means to be clothed. In the HIFIL, to clothe someone. To put clothes on someone. All right? Now, I've got a hey prefix, so I'm thinking this is what stem? HIFIL. It could be hofal too. How do I know it's not a hofal? The vowel pointing, right? So I got a hey. So in the HIFIL, the hey could be one of 4 things. What are the 4 possibilities where the HIFIL hey is visible? Perfect, imperative, infinitives, construct, and absolute, right? Now, if it's the perfect, what vowel pointing should I have here? A Keurig. I've got a pathak, so I can get rid of perfect. These other 3 possibilities I have to choose between with that A-class vowel. On the back side of root 3, I have a shurik. That's possible in which of these conjugation patterns? Only the imperative. Infinitive construct and absolute cannot take shurik for a suffix. So, if it's imperative, what does the shurik mean? To MP. So it's a group of men being commanded. How would I translate this? Clothe. And I'm missing something, right? There's going to be some direct object. So clothe them, clothe him, clothe your child. put some clothes on them. All right? All right. Because this verb, when it's hifil, is transitive. I would expect a direct object of some sort. All right. Now for number 10, I have almost the identical form as halbishu, except with a kirik here. Hilbishu. So, you know how to parse this now, don't you? It's lavash, it's hifil, but it's which conjugation pattern? With that kirik right here. It's hifil perfect. And if it's hifil perfect, the shurik is 3CP. Good. And how would I translate this? They clothed, they arrayed someone in clothing. They clothed someone. Good. All right, number 11. I have ha malbishim. Same 3 root letters here. Lavash. Okay? But I have a mem prefix. What's that tell me? This is a participle. Excellent. Im at the end tells me what about the participle? Masculine plural. How will I know which stem it is? What do I have to look for? Want to look for the vowel under the mem? Want to also check the theme vowel and see if that looks like any characteristic theme vowels for any stems. It does. What does it look like? Looks like a hifil. All right, good. And then I've got a hey with a pathak and a doubling dot in the first consonant after it. That is an article. Okay, so good. So I've got my parsing done. What does lavash mean in the hifil? To clothe. And so translate that as a participle. Clothing. Or if it's substantival, clothing ones. Those who clothe people. All right. It's going to be a lot easier. And it would, with the article, I could say the clothing ones. If I wanted to see this in an actual expression, I might see it in something like this. Yada ti. What does yadati mean? I knew or know. Et ha anashim. What's ha anashim? Okay, so I know the men. Ha mal bi shim. Oh, how would I translate that? I know the men who are clothing et Moshe. Okay? So I know the men who are clothing Moses. I know the men, the clothing Moses. So my participle is functioning how here? Ha anashim, ha malbishim. It agrees in gender, number, and definiteness. Masculine, plural, definite. Both sides, right? Ha ha. So this is a attributive participle. And we're going to want to use a relative clause to do this, especially when the participle has its own direct object. Okay? In other words, you could translate this as, I know the clothing Moses men. But that's funny. I know the men who are clothing Moses. All right, good. Now, number 12, I have tal beshna. Tal beshna. So you see lavash again. Now I have a prefix tav and na on the back side. Does that look like the person, gender, number of any kind of conjugation pattern you've learned? Imperfect or jussive. What? 3 FP or 2 FP. Both of those are possible. Which stem is this? A-class vowel under the tav is hifil and hifil only, right? No other stems get an A-class vowel under the nutty prefix. Good. So, is there a distinction between the imperfect and the jussive here on this form? No. When you add the consonantal ending, it's a serif anyway. Okay? So it could be either one. So going with the imperfect, it would be They or you, plural, what? Will clothe someone. Okay? And if it's jussive, it's may they or you clothe someone. Okay? Because the hifil is active, we're expecting a direct object here. Okay? So that's the forms there. All right, any questions about these? If not, then let's look at the homework. Alrighty, so for the Ross chapter homework from 30, we have these translation exercises. Which ones would you like to look at together? All right, so let's recite number 5 together. Ready? Yagdel et shemo haboteach bo vikabed otho b'simcha. Or v'simcha, that's a bet with a missing dagashlene, right? All right, so Kyle, how did you translate this first clause here? Yagdel et shemo haboteach bo. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. I said, let the one trusting in him magnify his name.
Okay, good. So you got this as a jussive, right? Does that make sense as a jussive? That's right. I've got a third masculine singular form and a sere, so this is a hifil jussive, right? So without any subject, it would be let him magnify his name, okay? But I've got to figure out what to do with haboteach bo, right? That whole thing seems to be functioning as the subject of that verb, doesn't it? So let haboteach bo magnify his name. What is that form? What are we looking at with boteach? Yeah, this is a cal participle. You see the holum and holum vav go with root 1, sere with root 2, and the cal participle. Masculine singular. It's articular, and it doesn't agree with any noun in gender, number, and definiteness. So this participle is not attributive. It is substantival. It has a noun function, and in this case, the noun function is the subject function, right? So let the one who trusts magnify. But this idea of trusting is itself being modified by a prepositional phrase. Let him who trusts where? In him. I've got a preposition bet plus a 3-mess pronoun. So let him who trusts in him magnify his name. Okay? And then over here, what'd you translate this last part as?
And let him honor him with gladness.
Yeah, and let him honor him with gladness. So this is, yeah, it's another jussive. It should have been v, y, ka, bade. All right? And yikabed as a jussive, but it's not the hifil, is it? What do I have in root 2 here? That's dagesh forte, so this is PL or pual. What does the A-class vowel tell me? It's got to be PL, and the yod prefix with no ending is 3MS. So let him do kaved, right? Let him honor. But that's a vocal shava, and this vav has a vocal shava. How do we fix that? The red rider. What do? We shoot out how many eyes? 1, and this shava becomes silent, and then the yod with the silent shava under it before a preceding Keurig Hebrew love story. Keurig and yod see each other and fall in love again. Say, hey, let's reunite. And the yod quiesces, and I'm left with V kaved. V kaved. All right?
You know that's not a WCI because it doesn't have the pathat.
Exactly. If it were a WCI, I'd have to put a pathat here. Right? And then the doubling dot and the vocal shava would have come, but then I could have lost that doubling dot. But that pathak would have stayed put. All right, good. And then what kind of bet is that? This bet usually is translated as in, but here we translate it as with, right? And let him, the one who trusts, honor him, presumably God, with gladness. That is a bet that indicates the manner in which I honor him. So gladly is the idea. With gladness is gladly. Okay, great. So that's number 5. Any other ones? So number 3, let's go ahead and recite that together. Ready? Histira ha'isha et ha'anashim b'vetah. You see, that's a real hey, right? It's got the mapik in it. All right. So, Ivan, how did you translate this first part? Histira ha'isha. Okay. Is ha'isha man or woman? Yeah, that's woman, right? The woman. So the woman, and histira is my verb. Does the woman do the verb, or is someone doing something to the woman? Look at the verbal form. It ends with a comma te here, doesn't it? That should be making me think that this feminine singular thing, creature, this woman, might be doing the verb, right? Now, that's going to be true if this is a perfect. Is that a perfect verb? Yes. I've got my new root letters from the new verb I've learned in this chapter, satar. Well, actually, I learned it in the Nifal chapter. And the hey prefix has what vowel under the hey? Kirik. That's characteristic of the Hifil perfect, right? Comma te on the end is which person, gender, number in the perfect? 3FS. So my woman is doing the histering, right? She did it. So what does satar mean in the Hifil? What did he do? He hid his tear, right? His tear, he hid. So she hid, the woman hid, and then et is marking the direct object. It's what the woman hid. The woman hid et ha'anashim. Yeah, she hid the men. Okay, so subject woman hid the men, direct object. And then this tells me where. B'beitah. What's b? In. Beit. House. Which pronoun is that? 3FS. So in whose house? In her house. Literally in the house of her. Okay. So the woman hid the men in her house. Okay. All right. Good. What else? All right. Number 2. Let's read that out loud. Ready? Hallehu ha'anashim lahekal lehamlich et hana'ar alehem. Okay, so Lester, how did you translate the first part of this? Mm-hmm. Okay, who? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the men went or walked. Lahekal? To the temple. Good. And you're sure it's the temple? Yeah. I have the article hays, pathak, visible. The hay has been swallowed up before Hekal. Okay, so to the temple. Le hamlich. What is that?
So I got the root as mem, lamed, kaf,
That's right.
malak,
Mm-hmm. Good.
which is kingdom or throne, dominion.
Right, if it's a noun. Is this maybe a verb form, though? Look in the middle. You see that kirik yod? What might that make you think? Could be hifil. What else would I be looking for? A hifil hey? Yeah, I've got one, don't I? And I have a lamed preposition. So what kind of verb forms can take a lamed preposition? Yes, that's right, an infinitive construct. So look at the form, hamlich. Does that match the profile of a Hiphil infinitive construct? Hey prefix? Yes. A-class vowel under it? Yes. Does the infinitive construct in the Hiphil have a Keurig Yod theme vowel? Yes. The infinitive absolute has a sere instead of the Keurig Yod. And lastly, the Lamed preposition. So what does a Lamed preposition plus an infinitive construct frequently indicate? It could be toward, but with an infinitive, it's usually purpose. So they did this verb for the purpose of the infinitive action. Okay, so the men walked to the temple in order to, what? Yes, in order to make someone king, or in order to enthrone. So we don't want to use a noun here. We want to use an infinitive in our translation. In order to enthrone et hana'ar. What's that? Yeah, the lad, the young boy. Alehem. Over them. That's right, over them. That's a 3MP pronominal suffix with the preposition all. Okay, good. So they had a reason for going to the temple, didn't they? All right, great. Others? So number 6, let's read that. Lama histarta et panecha mimeni hayaretha al chatatecha. All right. So lama is what? Why? Histarta. There's satar again. Prefix hey. Ta on the end. That's a Hiphil what? Perfect. 2ms. Why did you hide? And this is my direct object with that direct object marker. Why did you hide what? Your face. Now remember, the word for face is panim, which is masculine plural always. And that's why this looks like a plural noun, but we're going to translate it singular. Okay? So it's not why did you hide your faces, but why did you hide your face? Memeni? From me. There's that one CS pronoun on men. So why did you hide your face from me? And then I have ha yaretha. What's this ha here? This is the interrogative hey. So what kind of questions does an interrogative hey introduce? Yes, no questions. So what does yaretha mean? Yeah, yaretha, you were afraid. This is just the cal perfect 2ms from yare, which means it's a stative verb, to be afraid. Now make it a question. You were afraid? Or were you afraid? So were you afraid? Al chatatecha. Okay, yeah, so whose sin are we talking about? Chatatecha. Yeah, that's a 2ms pronoun, so your sin. Now, here the meaning of the all is a little bit different than what we're accustomed to thinking of. All usually is spatial, so it's like over something, right? But here it's probably causal. Were you afraid because of your sin? Or maybe it could also have the sense of about. So were you afraid about your sin? Yeah, or yep, on account of your sin. So that's 6. Any other questions on these? We can do one more of these if you want. Number 9 is tricky, okay? What does ele mean? These. Barechev. What's a rechev? Yeah, it's chariotry. It's a singular noun that really seems to function collectively. So a group of chariots. So you could say chariotry or just chariots. So some in chariots, I'm sorry, these in chariots, and these in horses, and we in Shem Adonai Eloheinu, and we in the name of the Lord Eloheinu, our God, Nazkir. So, what's that? Yeah, so we will remember, commemorate, remind, okay? But this doesn't really seem to work very well as a translation gloss with this bet preposition, okay? But here's the thing. The bet is repeated 3 times, okay? And in Hebrew, we can use the near demonstrative to indicate alternation. In English, we would say some do this and others do that, or these do this and those do that, okay? We use the near and the far in pairs to indicate this kind of alternating sequence of people. And in Hebrew, we actually say these and these for these and those, all right? So however we translate Nazkir, it's the implied subject of both of these verbs, okay? So this is what we call gapping. And usually gapping happens the opposite direction. I usually put my verb first, and then I omit it in subsequent sentences when I have an understood verb. For example, I think I've used this before. I like peanut butter, and Martha chocolate. Okay? What does that mean? Martha chocolate. That's really not a grammatical sentence by itself, is it? But if what you're understanding is that the verb like is gapped in the second line, then what that means is I like peanut butter and Martha likes chocolate. Okay? Here, the verb gapping happens first, but then we have to supply it from the verb that comes in the third clause. Okay? So some remember, some put their remembrance in, I think is the idea. Some put their remembrance in chariotry, some in horses, but we put our remembrance in the name of the Lord our God. And what that is really saying is that that's where our ultimate dependence is, right? So I think our English translations go ahead and just translate that as trust. Some trust in chariots and some trust in horses. But that verb really does come from the Zahar root. All right, good. Well, there is a separate verb form, meditating, but the kind of mental activity that you're doing there is one of recalling, of recollection, given that root.